This is the On the Pony Express podcast, part of the On3 network. Check out all the SMU coverage you need at ontheponyexpress.com. Now, here's your host, Billy Embody. 1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the On the Pony Express podcast. I'm Billy Embody. Thanks for listening, guys. It's been a minute since we were together for a free version of the On the Pony Express podcast. Been doing a couple of the members-only podcasts, which I can kind of talk a lot about the transfer portal freely and things like that. So been doing some of those to knock those out, but mainly been grinding at ontheponyexpress.com. We had a huge sale right after the AAC championship game for SMU, where we had a ton of people sign up. And during the first week and a half or so of the transfer portal window, it's been an even better response. So first of all, thank you guys to all you guys and gals out there who have subscribed to ontheponyexpress.com, jumped on board with us for this crazy run in the transfer portal. And I can tell you guys this, SMU is just getting going, and we'll jump into that in a second on the transfer portal front and kind of what's next on that front. We will talk a little bit about one of SMU's key signees in the 2024 class and a little later on in the podcast as well. But later this week, well, actually, I take that back. Early next week, we will look at the early signing period for SMU. It runs December 20th through the 22nd. We'll talk about what to expect and kind of the plan for the Mustangs that are set to sign next week. Obviously, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about transfer portal as well next week on that. But the next two pods certainly going to be heavy on the transfer portal and kind of where things are at for SMU. Let's go back to the snub that SMU got, unfortunately, at the hands of the College Football Playoff Committee, having Liberty over SMU. Looking back on it, just an awful situation for SMU. I mean, yeah, the bowl teams were telling them, from what I heard, that they were expecting them to be in a New Year's Six bowl. They were given indications that that was going to be the pick and what they expected, but Liberty gets the nod. And for SMU, they obviously would have had to go play Oregon, a very good team with a Heisman Trophy finalist. If Bo Nix does play in that game, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the quarterbacks in this postseason that aren't in the playoff navigate things, because there are, a couple of Heisman Trophy finalists that aren't in the playoff. Well, three of them, I guess, Marvin Harrison Jr. too. But this bowl opportunity for SMU is just going to get going really next week. They'll hit the practice field for the Fenway Bowl against Boston College on December 28th. That game is 10 a.m. Central for you guys who are out in the Dallas area or Central Time Zone. So it's going to be an early game. It will be chilly, but SMU has a chance to, one, kind of show the committee what maybe they missed out on in terms of having SMU be out of the New Year's Six Bowl. They'll also get a chance to play an ACC team that they'll play next season in the 2024 season. So a good opportunity for SMU to cap things off with an 11-2 season, or I guess I should say, 11-2, no, 12-2 season. Sorry, math on that one, not doing well for me as I'm recording this, but an opportunity to get a Power 5 win for Rhett Lashley, something he hasn't had just yet as the coach of SMU. So a big opportunity there to finish things off the right way. Currently, SMU is doing a lot of finals work, runs, lifts, things like that, getting ready to go for bowl season while the coaching staff is out on the recruiting trail for both the transfer portal as well as the high school ranks, kind of finishing things up in the 2024 class and trying to lay some groundwork in 2025. Check in on some of their commitments in that class as well. But let's look ahead to news that broke just shortly before I got on the podcast. Vanderbilt has canceled at least the SMU game in 2024. That was going to be a home matchup for the Commodores. Their schedule came out with Georgia State on it for that date instead. And talking with sources at SMU, this came out of left field in the sense that Vanderbilt did communicate with them that they were expected to cancel the series or cancel the game, whichever one happens. I haven't gotten clarity on that as of this recording, but instead of maybe going about it the right way and issuing joint statements, and obviously they're going to have to pay a buyout to SMU, all of a sudden the SEC schedule is released and SMU is not on Vanderbilt's schedule. So that is quite the move there for Vanderbilt. But SMU still has a solid schedule with BYU, TCU as the Power 5 opponents. I expect SMU to find a group of 5 type of game if they can to schedule, whether it's home, whether it's road. I don't know, but SMU has 7 home games now. They have 7 home games currently. They lost a road game, obviously, but if they did end up playing a home game, that would mean SMU would open up the season for the first month at home. They would face a tough slate with BYU and TCU coming to Ford Stadium, but to not leave the state of Texas, to not leave Dallas for the first month of the season would be something for sure. Next month in January, we do get the full ACC schedule, so that will come out, and we'll be able to get a good idea of when SMU's ACC games are, obviously, but also kind of finalizing some of the other dates on the schedule for SMU, and also getting them a better idea of when they could schedule that out of conference game. So that was an interesting thing that happened on Wednesday night, just before I recorded this podcast. But let's jump into happier news for SMU fans, and that is the run that SMU has been on in the transfer portal. And the first 2 guys that have jumped in are Jonathan Jefferson from Georgia and Ashton Cozart from Oregon. And let's lead off with Jonathan Jefferson, a guy who, if you're an On the Pony Express subscriber, he certainly got the attention of the coaching staff early. He was somebody that we had kind of known about behind the scenes early on as somebody that SMU was not only going to get a good boost from his high school coach, who is close with some of the SMU coaches, but also Chidera Uzo-Duribe had good things to say about SMU behind the scenes as well. So the Mustangs got some help getting Jonathan Jefferson on board, and he fills a major need, a guy who can play both nose and defensive tackle. And when you look at SMU losing Jordan Miller, losing DeVere Levelston, losing Elijah Chapman, this is kind of your most likely kind of Elijah Chapman type. I know he is 6'3". He's not kind of a sawed-off defensive tackle, but he has impressive size that Elijah has. He has that strength. He played in 13 games over the course of his career at Georgia. He has 2 years of eligibility remaining. He won 2 national championships. He was a part of the 29-game winning streak, but didn't really do much on the stat sheet, a tackle and a pass breakup. He had 1 tackle against Kentucky, and then against UAB, he had the pass breakup in 2023. In 2022, he had 2 tackles, and in 2021, he made 3 tackles. So kind of sounds familiar to maybe an Elijah Roberts, somebody who wasn't used as much as at his prior stop, but again, has experience, has the ability to bring size immediately to the SMU defensive line. And that is a really good pickup for SMU, former 4-star prospect. And that's big. This offseason for SMU is very much about revamping that defensive line, bringing in a nose tackle, bringing in multiple defensive tackles, and also addressing kind of the defensive end spots as well. All of those things are paramount for SMU to return its defense to a top 10 unit in the ACC, and at least take a stab at having that type of a defense again. We know the talent at linebacker. They're still going to try to bring in another linebacker transfer, and address that position. We have some On3 insider notes for our ontheponyexpress.com subscribers. You can subscribe for just $1 for your first month to ontheponyexpress.com. And when you look at the other positions on defense, cornerback certainly takes the cake over the safety position. I don't think as of now they're going to address the nickel or the safety spot because those positions do return guys like Brandon Crosley, CJ Sanders, Abdul Muhammad at nickel. And then you have guys like Jonathan McGill, who announced he's coming back, which is huge news. Brian Massey, Ahmad Moses, Isaiah Wacobia, all sorts of guys coming back at safety, as well as a guy like Kyron Chambers, who redshirted. And then they bring in Jalen Moses, and they bring in Kadavian Dotson Walker. So getting some talent, getting some depth in there at the safety position, that leaves really the cornerback room, which SMU has offered Jamad McCoy. That's the only public offer right now at the cornerback position, unless I'm forgetting someone. And he's a defensive back out of Oregon State. Very, very talented guy who played a ton as a true freshman. SMU is all over him, I would say, is probably the right term to use. Again, he has been just awesome since coming in from White House, Texas to Oregon State. He'll have 3 years to play when he gets to his next stop. Texas A&M is looking at him. SMU is very much looking at him. Oklahoma is also looking at him. But Jamad McCoy would be an unbelievable land for SMU if they could pull it off. It would really solidify the future of that secondary. I'm not going to go too deep in on a lot of inside notes. I'm just going to kind of cover things at a high level for you guys on the pod. But it is worth noting that you can see it in their offers. They went out and they prioritized that defensive line position group. And the other latest notable offers was certainly Anquin Barnes out of Alabama, who's a 4-star prospect, who's from the state of Alabama, from Montgomery, and is a massive, massive human being at that position. One of those guys that, again, kind of hasn't really, turned out to be a big difference maker for in Tuscaloosa. But again, you can't teach that size. And I talked to some people in Alabama that really had some nice things to say about him, and he's got multiple years left. On the flip side, a guy that has 1 year left, Michael Lockhart, is another 6'4", 282-pounder. I think he might be bigger than that on the West Virginia site, so I'll kind of look that up as I'm talking about him. But again, they offered him pretty early on. He started his career, 6'3", 308. So big boy there in the middle, and started his career at Georgia Tech. He's played in a ton of college football games over the course of his career. And the last 2 seasons in Morgantown, he played in 24 games, so availability check, and totaled 34 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. All of his sacks came this year. He also had a blocked kick this past season as well, and I think it might have been against TCU as I'm looking at his profile on their page. So those are some of the notable names right now that did pick up offers. Unless you're living under a rock, though, and I know it says undecided here on his profile page, but Omari Abor is another name worth noting out of Duncanville, who is transferring from Ohio State. He's kind of battled the injury bug a little bit over the beginning of his career, but again, a really, really talented guy, just on the hoof that SMU is after. Again, there's other names. There are 4 subscribers at ontheponyexpress.com, but Omari Abor is a guy that has 3 years of eligibility remaining, was a top 100 prospect. Larry Johnson spoke highly of him last spring before he, again, kind of had to deal with some injuries. But he just really, really spoke highly of him and just kind of his mindset going forward, which is key. Sometimes with these transfers that are injured, you want to check the box of, okay, if we're going to take a risk on a transfer, we better know that he's going to work out from a culture, from a work ethic standpoint. And if you follow Omari Abor on Twitter, on Instagram, he is very active in terms of letting people know kind of where he's going. And then I'll note one more defensive lineman, Aeneas Peebles, big time defensive tackle from Duke, is in the portal, and he did officially visit SMU last weekend. He's also been to Virginia Tech, Missouri, and will go to Penn State and Louisville at some point coming up, probably starting this, in the next day or so. He'll be on those visits. He's played in, let's see, what's the final count that the Duke cite? 47 career games, 84 tackles, 13 and a half tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, um, 3 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, fumble recovery. His career highs of 8.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks came this past season as Duke had that magical run that they went on. I think he's somebody that SMU is just going to have to keep swinging away at. He's the number 1 defensive tackle, I believe, on the On3 transfer portal rankings. So he'd be a massive pickup, and also he would obviously help you hurt your future conference teammate too. So SMU off to a roaring start with that addition of Jonathan Jefferson on the defensive side of the ball, but they have a ton of work to do. And speaking of work to do, I got to tell you guys have to go to our friends at Game Time and check out what they have in store for you guys for the Fenway Bowl. If you're trying to get up to Boston, it's a unique stadium, but the great thing is that you can get a look at how all these seats are very close to the sideline there. It's a different feel when they bring this stadium out like this. So you're going to want to see where the flash deals are. You're going to want to be able to see that stadium layout there as best you can, and kind of identify the best spots for you overall to get this Fenway Bowl SMU versus Boston College deal. And that's why I love the flash deal too. They have the one up there tucked in the corner. They have those kind of around the stadium for 10% off right now. But you also get that notification where you can find the cheapest ticket in the stadium if you wanted to. It's crazy. Some of those suites up there in Fenway Pack are going for $100 or so. But that indoor seating is pretty clutch. So that's why you guys have to head to Game Time. They are the ones that I trust the most when it comes to tickets, whether it's buying tickets for my family for the holidays. The holidays are coming up, family and friends. I've started last couple years. I've really wanted to and have gotten tickets for family members to events over the last couple years, because it always just seems like, oh, we have clothes, we have books, or what have you. But when you can get something that is an experience, I think it's pretty cool. And I rely on Game Time to help with that. I think they're the easiest way for me to buy tickets. It's just 2 taps when you get on the Game Time app and download it today and create an account. It'll be very, very easy for you to jump on there and look at those last minute deals, look at those flash deals or zone deals. And they have the lowest price guarantee, which is huge. And so if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So they're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PONY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Love our friends at Game Time. They take care of us and have for the entire college football season. So looking forward to working with them some more. Let's flip over to the offensive side of the ball. And SMU did get a commitment. I've kind of been waiting to record this podcast on this commitment. Quite frankly, my wife was kind of looking at me like I was crazy yesterday as I was going through just the board and, kind of finalizing some articles for Wednesday. And she goes, I thought you were recording a podcast. I go, yeah, I'm waiting on Ashton Cozart. And well, he had some difficulties either getting his pictures or whatever. And instead of announcing on Tuesday, he announced on Wednesday. So just after I left Tyler High School for Derrick McFall's signing ceremony, he did pop out his commitment. And that is good news for SMU. They needed to address the wide receiver position with a big body, and Ashton Cozart is that. And I was talking with a source over at SMU, and this is some really high praise. And I'll read it to you guys because I thought it was really good, because Ashton was somebody that I was certainly aware of out of high school and was on the radar for a long time. He prepped at Flower Mound Marcus. He was an Under Armour All-American. His senior year, he finished with 33 catches for 582 yards and seven touchdowns with 17 and a half yards per catch. That yards per catch is pretty good, without a doubt. But I was like, okay, well, how's this going to work? Like, they have a lot of talent coming back at receiver. They've certainly been a group that, I think going into the ACC, a Jordan Hudson has to respond and be that dude for SMU. A Moochie Dixon, hopefully, if he's healthy, can be that dude. Romello Brinson, you can continue to see some development, maybe. Keyshawn Smith, all those guys, you want to see them be that guy for SMU next year. But this is where Ashton Cozart could kind of be the younger outside receiver because SMU really doesn't have that. Jordan Hudson will be a junior next year, which is wild. He played in all 14 games at TCU as a freshman. He played a ton this year. So for SMU, there all of a sudden, Jordan Hudson, you've got 2 more years of him unless he absolutely goes nuts next year, which would be huge for SMU. But during that time, they need Ashton Cozart to develop. But here's what the source says. I think he's a great kid and a freak athlete. He's coming here with a very respectable mindset, willing to sit back and learn and abide his time. And I think with the receivers and resources we have with Coach Likens, he'll no doubt use his freakish talents and reach great potential. And just a lot of people had good things to say about him. I've been familiar with Ashton for a while. So we'll see kind of how it pans out for him. But SMU did their research. I know there were a couple other names that were linked to SMU, but they go with Ashton Cozart, who didn't play at Oregon this year as a true freshman, but has 4 years of eligibility now. And again, brings in that big body frame that SMU needed. And that's, again, they have a group of receivers next year that if they all stick around, they have five receivers that are in their last year of eligibility. And then the year after that, they've got 2 more in Teddy Knox and Jordan Hudson. And then that's it. Like when those guys graduate, then you're going to bring in Dalen Singleton and whoever else you bring in from the freshman ranks in 2025. You're going to bring in more transfers. SMU next year going into 2025, we know that's their defensive line haul that they need to, kind of do this year. They're going to take care of that. Next year, they're going to have to do receivers. So Ashton Cozart, 4 years of eligibility. Rob Likens was in home with them last week, and then they brought him in for an official visit and sealed the deal pretty quickly there. So that is a nice pickup for SMU, guy with multiple years remaining. When it comes to the offensive side of the ball, SMU does have its eyes set on some offensive linemen. They have offered a few of them now. And I'm going to run down the names for you guys. And actually, as I was recording the members only podcast, I did forget one this week when I was doing that. So it's worth noting. I'll put it in some insider notes as well, just to kind of reiterate that he is an option. But let's start with 2 of the big names for SMU that they're watching at the offensive line position. And we'll lead off with the big guy from Duncanville, who had SMU fans on the edge of their seat in 2021. The Mustangs kind of faded down the stretch, couldn't hold on to that silent commitment. Savion Byrd goes from Duncanville to OU. SMU did play OU this year, and Savion Byrd and his teammate Nate Anderson both picked up offers from SMU. I do expect SMU to be major players for both. I'd kind of be surprised if they didn't get both of them. But you can kind of draw your own conclusions there. SMU has really been after these guys right from the jump. They offered them pretty quickly, and we'll kind of see. The competition is stiff, I can tell you, behind the scenes for Savion Byrd. He's played a good bit of football for OU, without a doubt. And look, he's kind of been a spot starter. He's been kind of in and out of the heavy rotation, but he is somebody that spent 3 years in Norman. He made 9 appearances this year. He played in 10 games in 2022, but now he's in the transfer portal, and the Mustangs will see him as an interior guy. He played left guard. And then Nate Anderson is another guy for OU that did get some kind of some play throughout the season, but didn't really do much in his. I think. Uh, let's see. He was a class of 2020, so 4 seasons in Norman. Again, he just didn't do too much, but he did play in all 12 games this past season and played in 4 the year before that. And then in 2020 and 2021, he didn't appear in any games for the Sooners. So, again, kind of a player who will be somebody that SMU can kind of, um, look at and maybe address the depth of that offensive line. But one player that I think SMU would love to bring in if they can is Howard Sampson, another North Texas player who entered the portal and has quickly become, with his 6'8" frame, one of the most sought after guys in the transfer portal. He is going to be heavily sought after. Kentucky is very much after him. They have a lot of, he's just picked up a lot of offers early on. I'm trying to scope his offer list on Twitter really quick as I'm talking about him. But again, 6'8", and he has the ability to play either tackle spot. He has 3 years of eligibility remaining. His teammate, and I mentioned Kentucky because his teammate, Jamori Macklin, just committed to the Wildcats and will be somebody that'll probably be recruiting him to join him in Lexington. So SMU is trying to get in on the Howard Sampson sweepstakes, but so many programs are as well. TCU, Kentucky, North Carolina, where he did take an official visit to last weekend. So that is a team to watch for him as well. Texas Tech, Cal, Memphis. That's kind of the group that he's tweeted about so far. So SMU is going to take their swing at him. And if they find a way to land Savion Byrd, Nate Anderson, and Howard Sampson, it's a pretty good haul for Garen Justice, who, by the way, don't know if you guys know this, but Garen Justice did have SMU as the number 1 offensive line in the country in terms of PFF grades. I'll find the tweet from SMU Football here, but SMU's offensive line earned an 85.5 grade this season, tied with Oregon State for the best in the country. The Mustangs front 5 was the only unit in college football to earn 85 plus pass blocking and run blocking grades. So I don't know what the split was on Oregon State, but they were either really good pass protecting or run blocking. I didn't watch Oregon State enough. Sorry, guys. SMU got into the ACC, not the Pac-12. And so I don't know which side of the Oregon State offensive line kind of carried things there, whether it was pass protection or run blocking. So for SMU's offensive line, they did lose Jacob Waller to the portal. Cam Irvin looks like he's done due to graduation. And so they lose Hiron White. So if you bring in another big offensive lineman like Howard Sampson with multiple years left, boy, you're sitting pretty if you could get him and PJ Williams kind of as your offensive tackles for the future. And PJ really loves it at SMU. Not that he can transfer again because he's transferred from A&M, but he just really, really seems to be enjoying his time on the hilltop. So the future is bright on this offensive line, especially if they can get these guys, address some depth, address the talent, and keep moving on up, because Garen Justice is just one of the best in the country very quietly. I'm sure Rhett Lashley is trying to, get that tweet deleted about PFF pretty quickly in coaching hiring season. But, the Mustangs have something really, really good in Garen Justice. So he deserves a lot of kudos for the way this offensive line has played for the Mustangs since he got in to Dallas with Rhett Lashley and his staff. So let's see. Trying to think if there's anything else here. Again, we're not going to talk basketball. I'm sorry, guys. We'll get into that a little bit more after the new year, but it is all transfer portal, any coaching changes, and also we'll get to some bowl prep here. Excited to keep Walking Strong going with Bill Armstrong. So check out epicwines.com/pony. Get your Pony Express case in time for the holidays. That'll be something that you guys can do as well. We just got that kind of finalized, some of our plans for the future. So looking forward to that. And speaking of the holidays, That'll teach me to have dinner right before I do this. But Red and West is doing a big sale on their site right now, and it's 25% off just in time for the holidays. Go to redandwest.com and find the SMU Polo collection. You can see that they've got a great deal going right now for both the red and the white polo on the site. It's down to $66.75. A really reasonable deal. Again, I saw somebody wearing it at the airport. If you were on my flight back from New Orleans, I couldn't get over there and say hello. But it's a great looking polo, breathes well. And so check them out, redandwest.com. Again, they're going to be expanding their lineup in 2024. So be on the lookout for more swag from our friends at Red and West, and get in there in the holiday season and fire away on some of those polos. Also, I do want to remind you guys, it is that time of year to get the best gifts you can. And one of the best gifts you can give is the official game ball of SMU, thanks to our friends at BigGameUSA.com. Check it out right there. But here's the best part. Don't freak out. They're giving you 20% off and free shipping. That sale ends soon. The promo code is Big Blitz. But if you want to help your boy out, you can also use the code BEON3 to get a discount on your order and free shipping. So check them out. This is the official game ball of SMU. And again, it's perfect to kind of throw it around once it kind of warms up around Dallas and things like that. So go to BigGameUSA.com. Check them out. The official game ball of SMU. With that out of the way, guys, let's talk a little bit about coaching changes. SMU running backs coach Keenan Hall did depart for Baylor last week on Friday. This is a job that I'm interested to see what Rhett Lashley will do with. And I think when you look at what SMU is going to want to do, this is certainly a job that I think you could see Rhett bring in somebody who he really trusts, who he's worked with before. That would be something to watch. And part of that is because everybody jumped in and said, oh, well, they've got to hire a Dallas recruiter right away. Well, I don't know if that's the case. They have a lot of guys on staff, Scott Natty, Danny West, Ricky Hunley. This whole staff is pretty comfortable recruiting Dallas. I mean, they've just made it a priority, and they keep it pretty real. So Tyler Foster, too, can't forget that. They just have a crew of Dallas recruiters that have really prioritized that area. And Rhett Lashley has put the staff in place where they can be pretty successful in this city. I think you've seen. And now with the ACC, I think they can continue to do that. And they're recruiting really well. And when Keenan Hall left, Derrick McFall gave him love. When I talked to him, and again, talked to him today, he shouted him out. But he also said there were a lot of other coaches that were involved. Rhett Lashley, Kyle Cooper, Tyler Foster, guys like that. They're all involved recruiting him. And so that's why he didn't really give it a second thought. So he's signed today at his ceremony at his school. So locked in. His folks and family were all really excited, all decked out in Dallas gear and red and all of that. So it was a pretty fun little ceremony there before Tyler gets out of school for the year. And Derrick McFall puts, unofficial pen to paper a week from signing day to end up with the Mustangs. So was there for that. We'll hear from Derrick in just a second, as well as his coach, Rashawn Woods. But I don't know the timing on this for SMU. I'm intrigued to see if they, can make something happen right before early signing period, or if they can make a move right after. This is kind of such a weird time of year for the transfer portal, for signing 2024 prospects, for coaches around the country. Most coaches, unless you're going for a head coaching job or a big title raise, or you're really, really critical to efforts to reel in new players for your team, are trying as best they can to stay through the whistle of the early signing period. And it does put schools in a tough spot in some cases when they're looking to hire their coordinator. Been asked about Scott Simons in Texas A&M. I haven't heard anything beyond kind of some Twitter rumors about it, but I mean, you coordinate a top 10 defense and you orchestrate a turnaround like that with Texas A&M's group that they have, and they've lost some talent, sure, but they need to be just better coached. That is kind of the key for them. You know, DJ Durkin and that crew did have them among the SEC's best this year, and you know, certainly deserve a lot of credit for that. But again, A&M under-delivered when it mattered, and they obviously ended up firing Jimbo Fisher. So they're making some moves. I don't know if it'll go beyond that, but I do know he's very much locked in on bringing talent to SMU. So we'll continue to just keep our ears to the ground. It is that crazy time of year with the coaching season and coaching carousel. De'Aaron King was on the road for SMU, seeing Tyler Aronson with Keenan Hall's spot open to be on the road. So that is something worth noting as well. Tyler tweeting out the picture Wednesday night. What I can tell you guys before we get to Derrick Fall is just subscribe to ontheponyexpress.com. It's a crazy time of year. I have some massive plans that we've just kind of finalized for 2024 and a new era of On the Pony Express that I'm really excited about. On3's been great working with me on that and kind of the next steps for our site to bring it to a Power 5, Power 3, whatever you want to call it, level for you guys. So if you haven't subscribed now, I encourage you to jump on board because right now it's just straight transfer portal, scoop news, everything for you guys. But come 2024, it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited about. So more to come there. But let's end on a pretty cool afternoon in East Texas. Derrick McFall has quickly become one of my favorite SMU commits in kind of the recent memory because he's jumped into this class and immediately starts tweeting that at different players, different prospects, trying to get them to come to SMU. And he is just really latched in on that and bringing different guys to the program to help him win and to help him win an ACC championship and to help him win a national championship. And I can tell you guys, that was his message right off the bat when we spoke with him is he wanted to go to the ACC and he wanted to put on for East Texas where SMU has Demetrius Brisbane and Ricky Stewart committed at Tyler Chapel Hill, who will play for a state championship on Friday morning in the 11 o'clock game at AT&T Stadium. But Derrick McFall, he has big goals for SMU, and he's excited to take that next step with the Mustangs.
For you personally, to get to play in a Power 5 conference and stay close to home, how big was that when you chose the Mustangs?
It was good. Like, I was thinking, like, ACC can change the NFL draft stocking. I get more exposure, more looks in the ACC, playing great competition. So in the ACC, I can really show my talent.
I've seen you've been stepping up online as well, talking to some of the guys that think about SMU. You got two, studs there at Chapel Hill, got one more year they're coming as well. How much do you want to be a part of maybe the East Texas movement there to play? They can play close to home and play for a big boy program, I guess.
I'm trying to be a big impact on that. They see me, I'm a big time recruit in East Texas. I'm going to SMU and staying in my hometown. So D, Ricky, everybody from East Texas, I'm trying to get them with me to be on this SMU so we can get the train rolling, win some championship, ACC championship, and try to win a natty.
You heard him. Try to win a natty. And that is kind of where things are headed for SMU in terms of the push. And look, we had an event with Pony Sports DTX, which was awesome last week, Monday after the AAC championship game. It was so much fun at Ozona. Appreciate all of our sponsors that helped us with that. And but a special guest there, I can't really pump more than that, said that they want to win a national championship and they think they can win a national championship at SMU. And to hear that is, if you're covering it, it's certainly fun for me. I mean, that's what you want. You want the program you cover, regardless of if I went there or not, to be that good and to have aspirations to be that good. Getting kids like Derrick McFall who have that mindset is important. Derrick McFall did just about everything for Tyler High this year. He threw a couple passes. He ran the ball. As his coach, Rashawn Wood, said during the ceremony, he should have run it more. But he also had about 800 yards receiving. He did it all. And he's a guy that a lot of his teammates were there looking up to him with the signing and things like that. But he also wanted to make note that he wants to win a national championship and he wants to keep recruiting. And that's the type of player SMU needs. That's where SMU wants to go. And so why is Pony Sports DTX like recruiting people as hard as they can to, donate money for defensive tackles? Well, you see how SMU can win a championship in the AAC when you have the talent. Well, you can do the same at the next level. It just has to take a next step up. And that's what Derrick McFall wants to do, is take SMU to the next level. So that was a big point of emphasis for him. His coach, Rashawn Woods, couldn't have been nicer with his time, but gave a good look at what SMU is getting in the 4-star prospect from East Texas.
After 1 year coaching, Derrick, what kind of player is SMU getting that we got to see out here in East Texas?
Hey, he's electric. When he gets the ball in his hands, he can change the game, and he showed that time and time again this year. It was a pleasure to coach him. Thankful to have the opportunity to be a coach that's been part of his development. So many coaches kind of hold that in high esteem because everybody's had a part in helping him become the player that he is, and then obviously a great family, a great talent, and I'm excited to see his future continue at SMU.
Yep. So going to be fun to see that one come across the fax machine or whatever next week on the early signing period. But Mustangs have a lot of work to do in the transfer portal. We'll see kind of how things go, but they're going to welcome more official visitors to town. So again, check out ontheponyexpress.com. Excited to bring you guys another weekend of coverage. I'll be at state championships as well, watching multiple SMU commits in AT&T Stadium. It's going to be a fun weekend on the site. So jump on board today. Just $1 for your first month. Gets you through signing period, gets you through state championships, official visits, all those things. So appreciate all you guys who support the site. Really starting to get excited about 2024. A lot of good coming with my baby boy on the way, becoming a family of 3. But also it's going to be fun getting the ACC train rolling for SMU in 2024. So appreciate all you guys who subscribe, support the site. We'll talk again later this week, talk more transfer portal stuff, as well as whatever else pops up for the Mustangs. Appreciate you guys listening to the On the Pony Express podcast this week, and we will catch you guys next time with another edition.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU_on3 and on Instagram at On3SMU. And keep it locked to ontheponyexpress.com for more coverage.